guys, how'd we enjoy our duck tour this morning? Yeah, wonderful 5-star tour probably, huh? With the stick of dynamite, all these statues were then brought to the Wisconsin Dells area by Miss Helen Robb to decorate her home, Dawn Manor. I will be seeing Dawn Manor and some more of these statues later on our tour today, so I'm just going to ask you guys to keep them in the back of your mind. Oh, it looks so real. We have now jumped down into the beautiful Fern Dell, home to 27 different types of ferns, including the green fern, the red fern, the blue fern, the black fern, the tall fern, the short fern, the fat fern, the horned fern, the repeating fern, repeating fern, repeating fern, repeating fern, interrupting fern, repeating fern, and of course my personal favorite, right up here on the left, the invisible fern. Now as you drop down into Fern Dell today, you may have noticed a temperature change. That is for two reasons, the first being, these trees above act as a canopy blocking out sunlight. The second being these cliffs on either side trap in moisture, acting as a natural air conditioner. Stop and look for traffic. I present to you the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, it's a lot smaller in person. But as we enter the water today, make it just a little bit bumpy, so you guys can just take one hand for me and place it on the seat in front of you. And then, of course, just take that other hand and plug your nose. And just like that, folks, we're a boat afloat the Wisconsin River, and I have just disengaged the wheels. So if you look off to either side of the duck, you should see them slowly sinking to the bottom. This river we're on today is actually one of the hardest working rivers in the world. It is spanned by 27 hydroelectric plants as it weaves its way across the state of Wisconsin for 430 miles before it empties into the mighty Mississippi River at Prairie du Chien. As you look at the water today, you may notice its brown and murky coloring. This is not due to pollution, however. The Wisconsin River flows through tamarack swamps in northern Wisconsin. These swamps secrete a tannic acid, which is basically just a caramel coloring, right here into the water. Tannic acid is not harmful to the environment, however, it's found in many beverages you guys enjoy on a day-to-day basis, including coffee, tea, Coca-Cola, and of course my personal favorite, Jack Daniels. Does anybody believe my story? No? Yeah, well, if you do need just a little bit more proof, we can actually still get some music coming to that old baby grand piano today. But for whatever reason, only plays hard rock by the Rolling Stones. Now coming up on our second and most famous rock formation of the tour today. If you follow the shoreline directly in front of us, all the way to the left, go up about 40 feet, silhouetted against the sky, you'll see Hawk's Beak. On the top rock up there that comes to a point, that's the Hawk's upper beak. Up in a rock, that's the Hawk's tongue, and that bottom rock is the Hawk's lower jaw. Have you guys stretched your imaginations just a little bit further for me? That slit up in the Hawk's head, that's the Hawk's eye, and the cliff overhanging the water up on the right side is the Hawk's left wing and shoulder as it prepares to soar across the Wisconsin River. I did say this is our most famous rock formation on the tour today for a reason. Back in 1962, Hawk's Beak up here was featured on the cover of Life magazine, bringing a lot of fame to the Wisconsin Dells. The Wisconsin River. Sandstone also carries with it some very unique properties. It's so brittle, if I were to break off a piece of it and hand it to each of you on today's tour, you'd easily be able to crush it in your hand. Sandstone is also very porous, meaning it absorbs up a lot of moisture, allowing the trees up there to grow directly out of it with little to no topsoil. Sandstone here was formed hundreds of millions of years ago when this area was covered by the Cambrian Sea. The water pressure down onto the sand below compacted it together. And then after the last ice age, glacier waters flowed through this area, carving out the rock formations we see today and forming the Wisconsin River, which we'll be seeing later today on our tour. Now, the city of Kilbourne that was founded about 2 miles upstream, has anybody ever visited it before? No? Are you sure? How if I told you guys it was later renamed the Wisconsin Dells? I have a plan. All of these strong men aboard today's tour will head to the back of the duck, where we will then lower all of the women and children into the freezing cold Wisconsin River, so they can push us to safety. How's that sound, ladies? Maybe not? Oh, lucky for you guys, I was just kidding. The water here is not that cold. $1.1 million and formed artificial Lake Delton. Alrighty guys, how do we want to enter the water today? Fast, slow, Interesting. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna take a look at.
We're right next to
All right, should be good. All right, so fast or slow? What do you guys think? Fast. All right, you guys asked for it. I will warn you. There may be a mist of water coming up over the front of the duck, getting myself to maybe the first few rows here. Just a tad bit wet. So if you do have any personal belongings on the floor, I suggest that you pick those up, because anything that washes up here, I get to keep and sell on eBay. You should be able to see two small rectangles floating on the water way up there. One is white, one is red. Those are actually ramps for the Tommy Bartlett Ski Sky and Stage Show. Have them follow the shoreline there. To the right, you'll see that log building with the green roof. That is Wilderness on the lake. And if you go all the way up here behind those two towers, you'd find America's largest water park, Noah's Ark. A few kiddos aboard. Now, do any of you guys have any experience driving large vehicles, like, I don't know, semis, dump trucks, fire trucks, anything like that? No? Really? Well, do any of you guys want to come up here and try to drive this duck for me? Waterfront homes spanning the shore. That's what it looked like before that disaster took place. Now, I was actually very fortunate when the breach happened. All of the water went right through here, and narrowly missing my home up there on the left. Yep. I wish. Earlier on our tour today. White-tailed deer, rabbits, raccoons, squirrels, zebras, giraffes, flying raccoons, Miley Cyrus, Tupac, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. If you ever see any of those lions or bears though, just make sure you shout it up to me so I can swerve the duck and run them over. Coming out here right before our tour today and painted a white goal line around all the trails. And we all know the lions and bears have been struggling to pass one of those for years. How was that? Yeah, alright. Take that, Six Flags! That's just chicken wire. Yeah, well, I thought the same exact thing, but Hank down at the hardware store insured me. If it could hold back a chicken, it could hold back a duck. After then, off to the left-hand side, you'll see the scenic lake of the... Formed back in 1943 by Herman Breitenbach for the sole purpose of breeding the Wisconsin state bird, the mosquito. I don't worry too much about those mosquitoes though, because we do actually trap them all up in the box on our left and ship them off to Minnesota. Kind of like what we did with Brett Favre and Greg Jennings. And we have now dropped down into the Lowland Trail, which back in the 1800s is actually part of a stagecoach trail, but I'm also told that this is one of the most beautiful parts of our tour today. So I'll do you all a favor, shut off my mic and let nature do all of the talking. of Redbird Gorge, and if you remember me telling you earlier, Juneau here is about 8 foot 2 inches wide. Now Redbird Gorge at its narrowest is only about 8 foot 6 inches wide. And if you do the math right there, that only gives me about 4 inches to work with. Oh, but if you think this is scary, just wait till we cross that bridge up there. But seriously, speaking of that bridge, we do actually use it quite a bit every single year. We send our rookie drivers up there with a unicycle and a mouthful of marbles. Every single time they get across that bridge, they get to spit out a marble. And once they've lost all of their marbles, well, they're full-fledged duck drivers. We have now dropped down into Blackhawk Gorge, named after the famous Native American chief. Can anybody guess his name? Not quite. Chief Gorge. Now Chief Gorge had a son named Boy Gorge. Boy Gorge had a pet monkey named Curious Gorge. They really loved cooking on their gorge formans. Chief Gorge also had a daughter. Oh, but life of me, I just can't remember her name right now. All I do remember is she was gorgeous. Making our way up Turkey Hollow, better known by us duck drivers as Lover's Lane. So if you're at that special someone, feel free to slide on over and give them a fat, whopping $5 bill, because it still is a family tour. Coming up here on the front left-hand side of the duck, you will see our U.S. government tree. And I can tell because of all of its crooked branches. We have now entered the Helen Robb tree plantation, and if you remember me telling you earlier about that wildfire that destroyed the city of Newport, well, it swept through this area as well, destroying all wildlife. Miss Helen Robb, being the generous woman that she is, came in here and replanted all of these trees in the most natural way she could think of. Perfectly straight rows. Myself and everyone back at the original Wisconsin Ducks, I would like to thank you guys for coming out on my tour today. If you did enjoy yourself, remember my name is Tyler, and if you didn't, well, you can call me Jay Cutler. Now, just one quick thing here before we pull into the chute today. We'll be the first one off of the duck, so if you guys could just remain seated, that'd be greatly appreciated.